The scent of cinnamon and fresh bread danced in the air like a silent promise. A cold wind blew outside the large glass windows of Hearth and Bloom, but inside, everything was golden light and gentle music, like a comforting pause from the noise of the outside world. Yet beneath the warmth, behind the counters and polished smiles, something else stirred. Daniel Cole leaned against the wall near the back table, sipping from a plain paper cup, looking every bit like a quiet, middle-aged traveler passing through. But Daniel was no ordinary customer. He was the founder and CEO of the entire Hearth and Bloom franchise. He wasn't here to be greeted or praised. In fact, he didn't want to be recognized at all. Dressed down in worn jeans, sneakers, and a hoodie that had seen better days, Daniel had taken a step away from boardrooms and branding meetings to get something far more valuable: perspective. He had made it a habit to drop in undercover at random locations. Some visits lifted his spirit. Others left him disappointed. But this visit, this small branch tucked between a gas station and a bookstore in a quiet town, was already turning into something else entirely. He'd been observing quietly for 3 days. Staff hurried through routines with tired efficiency, the manager barked orders more than he gave direction, and morale was clearly strained. But one new face caught his eye from the moment he walked in on day one. Emma. She couldn't have been more than 22. Her apron was always slightly crooked, and she sometimes struggled with the register system, fumbling for change or mixing up receipt copies. But she had something rare, an honest warmth. Even when a customer was rude, Emma met them with a soft smile that somehow made them feel seen. She thanked every person like she truly meant it, like she understood that gratitude wasn't just protocol, it was human. But today, she was gone. Her name wasn't on the name tag behind the register. Another staffer had taken her place. Someone efficient but cold. Daniel took one sip of his lukewarm coffee, then stood. He moved casually toward the hallway marked staff only, not enough to be suspicious, just enough to glance toward the break room. That's when he heard it. A muffled sob. His steps slowed. The door to the break room was cracked just enough to see a young woman sitting on a bench, her arms wrapped tightly around her knees, her head down. It was Emma. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. Something about the way her shoulders shook, how she tried to stifle the sound. It wasn't just frustration. This was something deeper, raw. He hesitated, torn between keeping his cover or doing what felt right. Then he knocked gently on the doorframe. "Hey," he said, voice low, careful not to startle her. "You okay?" Emma looked up, her eyes red and glassy. She quickly wiped her cheeks, trying to reassemble herself. "I'm fine," she lied, forcing a smile. "I'll be back out in a minute. Please don't tell the manager. I just needed a second." Daniel stepped inside slowly, hands in his pockets. "I'm not the kind of guy who tells on people," he replied, sitting across from her at the little table with a chipped corner. "But I do believe in talking things out." Emma let out a shaky laugh, as if the weight of the day had knocked the strength out of her. "It's just been a week, you know," she said, looking at the floor. "My mom's in the hospital. I'm trying to cover her bills and my rent. I dropped out of school last semester to work full-time. This job was a miracle when I got it. But I'm starting to feel like I don't belong here either." Daniel stayed quiet, his expression unreadable. "I made a mistake with a customer earlier," Emma continued. "And the manager, he yelled at me in front of everyone. Said I was careless. That I was lucky he even hired me. I guess he's right." Daniel felt something inside him crack. This company, the one he had started from scratch, was supposed to be built on dignity, compassion, and second chances. That was the entire mission of Hearth and Bloom, warmth beyond the food. But what he saw now was a betrayal of that mission. And then, Emma said something that hit him like a gut punch. "I don't think I'm anyone worth being kind to," she whispered. "I'm just trying to survive." Daniel blinked hard. A storm of emotion churned behind his calm expression. In that moment, Daniel Cole stopped being a CEO undercover. He became a man who had just found a broken part of his own dream, and realized it had a name. Emma. Emma sat in silence, her eyes fixed on the floor as if afraid that looking up might shatter what little strength she had left. Daniel stayed seated across from her, his hands folded, the silence stretching between them like a fragile thread. Every word she had said still echoed in his chest. "I don't think I'm anyone worth being kind to." He'd heard powerful speeches in boardrooms, inspiring pitches from entrepreneurs, and tearful confessions from charity founders, but nothing hit him quite like this. A young woman, exhausted by life and crushed under the weight of her own worthlessness, sitting in the break room of his very own company. Daniel finally spoke. "You know," he said gently, "when I started this place, it wasn't about profit margins. It was about people. My mom used to work at a bakery like this one. She'd come home late, tired, flour on her hands, but she never stopped smiling. She believed kindness could be baked into everything: bread, coffee, a workplace." Emma blinked, confused. "You sound like you care more than most." He smiled faintly. "Maybe I do." She let out a breath, almost a laugh, then rubbed her eyes again. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to dump all this on a customer." Daniel leaned forward slightly. "You're not dumping anything. I'm just listening. And trust me, sometimes that's all someone needs." Emma finally looked up at him fully. Her eyes, though tired, held a softness, like maybe, just maybe, someone was seeing her for the first time in weeks. Daniel looked toward the hallway. "Tell you what, why don't you take the rest of your break? Breathe a little, I'll cover for you." Emma laughed at the absurdity. "What do you mean? You don't even work here." He smiled with a playful shrug. "Maybe I should." She shook her head, almost smiling now. "Well, thank you for being kind." He stood and walked toward the door, but before stepping out, he paused. "Emma," he said without turning, "don't ever believe the lie that you're not worth kindness. You're fighting battles most people couldn't handle. That alone makes you stronger than you think." With that, he stepped back into the main cafe. The air shifted. The manager was barking at another cashier near the pastry counter, not noticing Daniel return. Daniel walked slowly to the front, scanning the space. A mother was soothing her crying toddler. An old man struggled with a card machine. The vibe was rushed, cold, corporate, not comforting. Daniel's jaw tightened. He stepped behind the counter, surprising the nearest employee. "Hey," Daniel said, "can I speak with the manager for a minute?" The young barista blinked, unsure. Yeah, sure." Moments later, the manager, a stiff, red-faced man in his 40s, strode over. "You can't be back here," he snapped. "Customers stay in front of the counter. Store policy." Daniel pulled back his hoodie. The manager froze. Daniel calmly reached into his pocket and pulled out a black company ID card. The gold letters read, "Daniel Cole, founder and CEO, Hearth and Bloom Corp." The entire front area seemed to pause in time. "I believe I can make an exception," Daniel said coldly. The manager's eyes widened. "Mr. Cole, I had no idea you were coming." "You didn't. That was the point. If I had known." Daniel cut him off. "You shouldn't have to know who someone is to treat them with decency. I've been here 3 days. I've watched you berate staff, dismiss customers, and act like you're running a factory instead of a cafe." The manager shrank back. "I was only trying to maintain discipline. By humiliating a new hire in front of everyone." Daniel's voice was low now, sharp. "You made Emma cry. She's one of the few people in this store who actually represents the values this company was built on." Silence. Daniel glanced around the store. Customers had started listening. Staff had gone still. "I'm placing you on immediate leave," Daniel said. "HR will follow up. For now, please leave the premises." The manager turned pale and stumbled toward the back door without a word. Daniel turned to the stunned employees. "Starting tomorrow," he said, "things will change here. For real, not in theory. This cafe isn't about numbers. It's about people, customers and staff." Then he walked back into the break room. Emma stood up, surprised. "You're him?" Daniel nodded. "Yeah, I'm him. And I'm sorry it took me this long to find you." Her lips trembled. "Am I fired?" He smiled softly. "No, you're promoted." Tears welled up again, but this time, for a different reason.